Welcome to Conversations. I'm Suresh Kochatar. A few days ago, a very disturbing incident took place at the Chilkur Balaji temple on the outskirts of Hyderabad, popularly known as the Visa Balaji temple. It's frequented by thousands of people every day, mostly professionals who want to go abroad, especially to US, to do their studies or even try and get a job there. That's why it's called the Visa Balaji temple. Times have changed, but the 108 pradakshinas that many people do even now at the temple still goes on. One of the chief architects of the temple, who runs the temple, who manages the temple, is Dr. Rangarajan. And of course, ably supported by his father, Rangarajan. But what is important to understand is that the way that temple is run, there is no hundi, and that's the most important. A few years ago, in fact, more than a decade ago, when the endowments department of the government of Andhra Pradesh, then it was called the Andhra Pradesh government, tried to take over the temple, Dr. Rangarajan quit his full-time job as an engineering professional and came back to manage the temple. Very down-to-earth man. I spent many hours with him, did many videos with him, speaking to him everything about temples, something that he's very fascinated about. He lives, breathes, eats temples. Literally, temple protection is in his blood. When the Shabarimala case came up, I remember he organized a special prayer session at the temple in the evening, and I was there. When the Padmanabha Swami temple came up in the Supreme Court, he joined the case. He writes hundreds of letters, tweets frequently on X, but he has seen success few and far in between. Because all the politicians who do the talking never walk their talk when it comes to preserving the Hindu temples. And quite often, Dr. Rangarajan is very bitter about it. Because he has done so much for the temple movement that very few people have gone out and done what has been done by other temples across the country. Chilkur is safe, there's no issue about it. It's very prominent. A lot of people go there. But Dr. Rangarajan's view extends beyond Chilkur. He wants to save the temples across India. In fact, he was still is a part of the India Pride project, which tries to bring back artifacts stolen from our temple, especially the murtis that have been stolen from our temple, led by Anurag Saxena and others. I'm still a part of that team. More importantly, Dr. Rangarajan believes in a casteless society. He has no qualms about it, mentioning that every part of the Hindu population should be involved in the temples. Recently, a group of goons got together, and I call them goons because they claim to be some clan somewhere and wanting to set up a Rama Rajya. They went and tried to physically attack Dr. Rangarajan. There is no reason, no logic for it. These are people who are rabble-rousers, who think they can set up a Rama Rajya just like that. Why he was chosen as a target of attack is a mystery to me. And in fact, this morning when I spoke to him, he was quite emphatic about the fact that he was chosen because he was a low-hanging fruit. He had no protection. He had no men around him to protect at that time, or any time for that matter. There are hardly a couple of people in his house at any given point in his time. And of course, he is a good target for publicity. And that's exactly what the attackers wanted. Their demands were bizarre. They wanted him to fund their movement. They wanted him to pay salaries. And they accused him of a lot of other things. But if you've seen that video where a disturbed looking Rangarajan was sitting back, listening to everything and not saying anything, talks a word about this man. I remember from the time I met him possibly about 10, 12 years ago, first time, or even 15 years ago, even to the period of COVID, where I went to the temple to help Dr. Rangarajan serve the needy people around the temple who lived off the temple by selling coconuts and other things that were being sold outside the temple. But at that time, they had no visitors, they had no devotees, because the temple itself was closed due to COVID. But we served rice, essentials, both cooked and otherwise, cereals, lentils, oil, everything to the devotees around. That time, Dr. Rangarajan requested me to help out in terms of modernizing the kitchen. The kitchen modernization was ready. The Equipment was ready, but it could not be transferred to Chilkur. I arranged through my influence in media with the police people. And the workers came and worked on it for 2, 3 days, and they set up the entire kitchen, what is now the prasadam and all are made out there. But Dr. Rangarajan is a very soft man. His knowledge is astounding. He knows every bit of it. You can talk to him for hours. And when I sat with him one to one on that day in the temple during COVID, there's nobody around. Just me, Dr. Rangarajan, and my cameraman Vinay. Just three of us. We sat there, spoke for a long time. He took me around numerous parikrama of the temple, which otherwise people would carry you around during the 108 pradakshinams they do. We just walked around leisurely. And he explained the philosophy of why he was doing what he was doing. Now, these goons who came and attacked him obviously wanted publicity. They were not from Hyderabad, they were not from Bhagyanagar. They were from some other part of Andhra Pradesh. And they came and deliberately attacked him. They wanted the publicity. They are in the jail right now, but I'm sure after a week or two they'll be out and the issue would die down. Number of politicians have kind of lined up outside Dr. Rangarajan's home, which is right at the rear of the temple in Chilkur, offering the sympathies to him, speaking to the media. The media is camped out there. But here again, Dr. Rangarajan was complaining to me about one bit of fact. Almost every other Telugu channel was there. Even now, as I spoke to him this morning, camping out there, speaking to all the VIPs who are coming in. But Dr. Rangarajan says he did not see a single North Indian channel, including ANI or others. Is it a fact that, out of sight, out of mind is a fact for anything that happens below the Vindhyas for the North Indian media? This issue should have been taken on a national level, not what he wants to. He said he doesn't want to talk about the attack on him. He was not physically attacked, by the way. He himself clarified it to me today. But the fact that the attack was in the temple movement, and he was bitter that none of the channels up north, who otherwise claim a lot of things for the right wing and for Ram Janmabhoomi and other things, did not even bother to mention that there was such an attack on him at Chilkur. He didn't want any publicity. He wanted the publicity for the temples. Why were the temple movement being attacked? Why were the icons of temples being attacked? That was a question he asked. I did not go and see him for the last 3-4 days because I know there are a number of politicians out there, media out there, and I didn't want to go there. I spoke to him. He told me today that, and we speak often in Tamil, which is his mother tongue. And he told me that, Suresh, you just called me, that is more than enough for me. He spoke for a long time, almost 20 minutes. And surely, Dr. Rangarajan represents the new generation of modern priests who go beyond the traditional thinking. But then that makes him also a target of attack. And even on Twitter, quite often he's trolled viciously whenever he kind of confronts the other side who doesn't want our temples to be taken back, our temples to be revived. He's very passionate about it. He's written to a number of MPs. A lot of politicians come and see him, not just now, even before, saying, we will do what you want. He wants only one thing in his life, and I'm sure he agrees with me, that he wants our temples to be revived. Bring our gods back home. That's what he wants. And that we should do it for him. I will update you on next time I meet him because I didn't want to interview him, and he also made it very clear that he is not speaking to any media, and I also don't want to do it. We are not in it for publicity. But there's one thing that you and me should realize, that this is our country. This is our place. This is our culture. Hinduism has been a way of life for thousands of years. And Dr. Rangarajan is one of the pioneers of that, the modern day pioneers. There are people who are bigger than him, people who have done huge work beyond him. But then he's one cog in the wheel who makes a lot of difference. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind.